There is a lot of things to pay attention to in this upcoming week, and in today's Sunday video, we're going to go through a bunch of different currency pairs, commodities, and basically just a summary of what happened last week, as well as ideas to look at going into the week ahead. So we've got to start where we probably always start, which is the US dollar. And the US dollar, in terms of like if you're a currency trader, this is king right now. The dollar strength has been causing a lot of problems for a lot of other pairs. And before I jump into the dollar analysis that we're going to do in today's video, let me show you this. Look at Aussie dollar. Absolutely decimated by the strength of the US dollar recently. NZD USD destroyed by the dollar rise. Euro USD tanked overall, pound dollar. And what you get here is you see dollar yen flying to the moon, dollar Swiss, literally almost everything that we're looking at, and even including gold, which we'll talk about more later in this video. Everything has been getting beat up by king dollar right now. Now, has this thing gone too far? Is it time to start looking for a chance to go against the king? Is there a rebellion? Is there an uprising coming? Well, let's take a look. And, my first reaction to the dollar here is, yes, it seems high, but unfortunately, we have not yet seen the signs of a true proper reversal. Now, it doesn't mean that they aren't coming, but here's what we should probably be looking for. The first thing we need to do, if you're looking for the other things to catch a bid, right? If you're looking for gold to rise, the Kiwi and the Aussie dollar to rise, the pound to rise, this dollar's got to crack. And for this dollar to crack, what we need is to see price come down and fail at levels of support. This is the key if you are a dollar bear for some relief in terms of other markets getting a turn, if you will. Right now, the dollar is so strong that anything you put it up against has been getting beat. And that's not only just in the currency markets, that's in the bond market and in the, in the stock market. People are preferring cash. People are preferring the dollar. And so when we look at this, as we go into this week, if you're a bull, right, the areas of clear interest for starters, for me, are going to be 103.6 and 104. Both of these levels, until further notice, are bullish, whether, I care to admit it or not, as I do want to see the dollar come down, as, I'd like to see stocks and other things take a turn here. The issue is, until we crack on the US dollar, this thing is still so bullish. And you kind of come in here and you say, okay, we've got lots of support, and there is a strong dollar case to be made at levels like the 38.2, which is a perfect round number. Look at that, 104. That would be the first spot for dollar bulls to come and pick this thing up should we see a continued pullback. And I think we are probably due for a bit more of a pullback. The dollar at the very least probably needs a run back down to 104 before it finds more buyers. That is if they exist there. If they don't exist there, and this is again the scenario that I want to discuss with you guys, is if we fail at these levels of support, you start scrolling out a little bit. Look at this. The dollar has a lot of room to come down. Now, I'm not trying to call a top because, again, I'm assuming that most likely it's going to continue until further notice. But if we see some signs of cracking, there could be some excellent risk-reward opportunities in several other markets that we're going to get into in today's video. Now, what I want to show you guys is we'll take a look at the A1 Edge Finder. This is our proprietary trading scanner software tool that we use here at A1 Trading. And there's a couple things on this list that I want to show you. If you guys are familiar, I'm already in a long trade on CADCHF. I did hold that over the weekend. That trade is going phenomenal. I shared that inside of the group just so you know I'm not making this up. Let me just show you that for a second here. So I shared CADCHF inside of the group. We called this one long. And this thing, man, has just been an absolute beast. It got a high rating on the Edge Finder, and we're sitting in longs, bought at 76.37. You can go take a look at that on your own chart with an initial risk of just 35 pips. That was kind of the technical setup. I have a video coming on that where you can watch the full breakdown, so make sure to subscribe and thumbs up the video if you haven't already. But I shared this trade inside of our VIP group, which, by the way, will be linked down below in the description. How did I find this trade, though? Well, the way I found this trade is using the Edge Finder. This is how I find all of my trades nowadays, because once I have an idea, once I have a bias, I then can go take technical entries and things like that. But for starters, I need to see opportunities. And right now what we see here is we see a whole lot of sell bias on some of these pairs. By the way, feel free to pause the video if you would like to take a look at any of these select currency pairs or commodities on your own. So let's say, for example, you're trading NZD CHF, or you'd like to see some of the stronger rated currency pairs and commodities on our list. You can pause the video right now and take a look at whatever you would like. Now, again, going back to this, there's a lot of stuff that's here on the sell side. So perhaps we should take a look at the seller side of things here. And maybe we'll start with gold here today. So let's go over to the chart. We've got a sell reading on gold. So when we look at gold, for the time being, this is a seller's market. Now, again, perhaps things start to change if that dollar starts to crack. But for now, we are not quite there. And in a purely risk to reward standpoint, more likely probably some pretty good sells to be taken in the context of this. By the way, the Edge Finder has been bearish on gold for the last few weeks and has been seeing just continued follow through as this thing crumbles further and further below where it was at its all-time highs back around 2075, give or take. So where are we going next this week with the gold market? Well, we already kind of saw an attempt to pull back. Look how weak this pullback was. So we can start marking up some levels of resistance where if price does pop up into this week, you have the potential for sellers to want a piece of it, right? So if we scroll in, just a bit more, and you can kind of just draw some fibs, take a look at this. If this thing starts to pop up, the danger zone is once you start getting up into the 50 and the 61.8% retracement, as you have several technical factors leaning towards the bearish side, right? Now, when we say leaning, the issue a lot of times people get caught up with is they'll say like, oh, Nick, you said gold was bullish and then it went down, or you said gold was bearish and then it went up. I am not a fortune teller, right? When we trade, we don't have guarantees. We don't have certainties. All we have is probabilities. And so based on, the Edge Finder, which has already caught several sell side biases and signals here in the last couple of weeks, it's still telling us that until further notice, the trend is down. And when we dig in here, we can take a look at the Edge Finder's results here a bit more. We can really kind of decipher where we're at with this gold idea. And you can see here's the full reading. Now, before we take a look at the reading, let me just let you know, guys, that we are doing 40% off of the Edge Finder. This is our tool, like I said, that we have been building on the backside of this YouTube channel. We have a team and an office, and we develop software. So if you would like access to the Edge Finder for 40% off, we've lowered the price just for you guys here watching on YouTube, as we want to get some more people using the tool. We want some more feedback. We want to hear from you guys. So please do us a favor. If you would like to join the team of people that are using and studying the Edge Finder, make sure to check the link down below in the description and use that promo code to get 40% off the A1 Edge Finder for a limited period of time. That won't last forever, so check that out while you can get it down below in the description. Anyways, if we dive into a bit of the metrics here on gold, take a look. Gold has some interesting readings. Overall, a strong sell, -5. You have COT data kind of mixed, and the reason for that is that the US dollar and gold are both heavily long from institutionals. So the banks, quote unquote, the hedge funds, whatever you'd like to call them, big money is basically long on both. So there's not a strong bias there. So we get a 0 in that category. However, -1 in retail sentiment, as the crowd here is super long. So I'm biased towards the short side. If the crowd, if you know the retail side of things are really short, the retail crowd is very long on something, I'm going to try and avoid being on the long side too. So seasonality, the month of May is historically negative for gold, which is very interesting to me considering this thing over the long term does tend to go up. It still has a negative reading in the month of May. So very interesting stuff there. Trend reading, strong downward trend. We can all kind of see that. GDP growth in terms of the US, we see GDP coming down recently, a decrease in GDP. So that is actually a bullish thing for gold, to be fair. That's the one bullish thing on this list. And that is because when the when the GDP growth is declining, sometimes that can cause a bit of uncertainty in investing in the US or in the stock market and stuff like that. And that could potentially cause some interest in gold, but still not enough to overwhelm all the other factors that we have listed. Inflation, -1, unemployment, 0, as that's not, I guess, meaningful enough here. in terms of a change. And then we also have interest rate divergence, where we are seeing, the US does have a bit of a higher interest rate. So that's also, favoring buying things like bonds and other things like that, at least over gold. So all that considered, that's the A1 Edge Finders scan of gold. And we take a look at gold, like I said, for the most part, this thing is just bearish until further notice. Bearish on the pops and continuations to the downside. So I like these ideas for potential entries, with continuation ideas being at least back down to the previous lows, but perhaps even beyond that. May get a bit of a short-term run to the upside, but again, my reaction would be mostly bearish in this area, with stop losses above in case things don't go the way we were looking out for. So continuing on, let's take a look at some other pairs. The euro made some serious downside move here this week, where we saw a massive decline here. I mean, this thing dropped through the floor, you guys. And now we have to respect it for what it is. This level, what was a major level of support for buyers, is no longer that. It is, until further notice, until proven wrong, resistance. We'd like to call this innocent until proven guilty, right? That's how it's supposed to be, at least here in the U.S. You go to court, you're supposed to be, and that's up for debate nowadays. I feel like sometimes it's not always this way, but you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And so if this thing comes back up, we're going to innocently assume, most likely, that this market is in a downtrend. It is going to likely continue at major structural levels. So if we get a pullback here on the euro dollar, probably to this 50% level retracement, there's the 50. You have potential for continuations here. Now, let's take a look at the A1 Edge Finder just again to see where we're at with euro dollar. Euro dollar is not really super interesting on this list. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Euro dollar right here. It is a sell, but not nearly as strong as some of the other ones. I won't go into full detail because this video will take all day, but again, feel free to pause the video and remember that we're doing our 40% off sale on the Edge Finder. If you'd like to just go ahead and get this tool for yourself, the link is down below in the description. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, right? This is a sell, right? So until further notice, I would bias towards all of these things being more favorable to the sell side. These things I probably wouldn't trade. Neutral readings, just not really, there's nothing there for me, right? I need a conviction. Before I can go mark up my chart and take trades, I like to see it appear on the Edge Finder. That's just, of course, this is our own software. This is something our team has been working on extensively. So of course we are going to be using it, right? That's what we are trying to look for. Is we're looking for edges, we're looking for biases to directionally choose a path and then look to go with it. Now I mentioned CAD Swiss, right? CAD Swiss is another one that I've got to talk about, of course, because CAD Swiss I have a position on. I'm not logged into my broker, unfortunately, but look out for a trade video that's coming up on this. I have been recording the whole trade, so you guys will be able to see it. This thing made some serious strides this week. And we bought, inside of the VIP group, the trade alert came out literally right here. So I know I'm just beating my own chest on this stuff because this was a good trade and it took me out of a losing streak. So I context is key here. I'm not, saying all my trades look like this, but we caught this trade inside of the group and it was amazing. Like the entry, actually, let me give you guys some full transparency. So let me show you this. So let me scroll back and just show you some of the trades inside of the group. So every time I take a trade, it is shared inside of our Discord, which is linked down below in the description. So I'm looking at CAD Swiss on 5.9, which was the start of last week, and I decide I'm going to risk 30 pips. Here's the entry, right? Beautiful pullback to support. Everything's right, and it starts moving in my favor. I even put out a update. I said major jump on CAD Swiss. I'm moving my stops to break even here, and sure enough, I'm floating at this point. It's hard to see. I know $640 on the trade, $640, going very well. Very happy with that. And then it pulls back and stops me out for break even. Pain, right? But I'm a big fan of re-entering if there's an opportunity to do so. So on 5.10, I get stopped out for break even. The next day I come back and I see another setup and I'm this time willing to widen my stops just a bit. So I put 35 pips on there. And sure enough, this thing comes down to my level. So there's my initial trade, stopped out for break even here, re-enter here. This thing just flies off for the rest of the week. So we're up $500. I trail my stop, and now we're currently flying going into the next week. So we'll see if this thing can continue. But for right now, my thought process is basically this. I've moved my stop loss just below this previous swing low. and I'm going to try and let this thing run. So like, for example, if it does come down, as long as it holds this area or beyond, we're good. If it keeps going, then I'll just continue to trail this stop loss and ride a winner here. But that is kind of the nature of our group. We look for great risk-reward trading opportunities, and we try and hold on to winners with trailing stops. That's my style. That's what I've been doing for years, and that's what works for me. So CAD Swiss, just bullish, right? There's just nothing here to tell me to go sell side on this until further notice. If it does start to flip directions, we'll reconsider. But right now, bullish until further notice. And for those of you guys who are already inside of our VIP group, be looking out. I'll keep updating my trade as things go along, and any changes I make, you'll see them right in the next trade section inside of the Discord. Yeah. So let's continue on. We'll take a look at pound USD. So pound dollar. What do we got? What do we got going with pound dollar? So pound dollar, still super weak, right? Bottom of the barrel, sell reading of 4 here, or -4. Overall, just strong sell bias, right? And until further notice, that's what we're going to run with. If this thing starts to break to the other direction, which it tried to make a bit of a pop on Friday. If this thing starts to trend the other direction, we'll change our tone a little bit. But until further notice, we've been selling, been sell side on this and just riding a trend. And until further notice, that's all we're going to be doing. Now, what would that look like? Breakouts, retests, higher lows, that's signs of reversals. But we're not going to assume that that's going to happen. We're going to wait for something to start happening and then look at it more aggressively. Until further notice, right? These areas are sell areas. So got to be careful with that going into the week. Yes, we got a bit of a optimistic, shoot up on the pound dollar, but we will see if that can last. Let's take a look at pound yen, another very popular pair. Same story, right? So pound yen was another trade that we were watching inside of the group. Patrick just nailed this one. I mean, this is one of the better trades that I've seen from Patrick in the recent times. We saw pound yen drop like crazy, and here was his setup. So he went short and just fell through the floor. Let me see where he ended up with. So he hit 3R on his trade, and at one point, he hit 400 pips on a short on the pound yen. So that was just crazy to watch. Every time I would get an update from Patrick, I'd go look at it and be like, my goodness, this guy is just killing this thing. So you can see it just dropped and dropped and dropped. So yeah, we share, by the way, all the trades that are shared are full explanations. There's no like, just buy it here. Like, we don't believe in that. We're big fans of sharing genuine, ideas and why we're doing the things that we're doing, so that people who are watching along with us, we're not trying to offer a copy service. We're trying to offer a service where you can see what real traders are doing and come along and sort of learn something with it. So yeah, anyways, pound yen, pretty simple here. Until further notice, if this thing retests areas of resistance, the first reaction would be sell bias unless something changes, right? If we see something change, then we'll reconsider, but that's not the scenario that we see just yet. We have to be reactive in this market. We can't try and predict that that's going to happen, because right now reactive to me is, okay, we're trending down and pulling back. That's all I know. That's all I know, right? That's all that I care for. Pound yen. Well, let's go take a look on the Edge Finder as well to see if I actually would take any positions. Pound yen falls under, where is pound yen? Am I just, oh, here it is. It's neutral. So for me, slightly negative, but really not a strong conviction to sell pound yen. If anything on this list, I'd be more biased towards pound dollar. So again, that's why we keep using the Edge Finders, because I like to know that there are factors that are kind of built up in my favor or not, right? And that's the whole point. Remember, one more time before we go, use the code down below in the description if you would like to get access to our tool, or we'll do the same for the Discord membership. If you made it to the very end, hit the link in the description if you'd like to join VIP. And if you have any questions, or you would like to combine the group or the two products or anything like that, if you have any questions about the services, software, etc. that we offer here at A1 Trading, please feel free to send a message to one of our team members down below in the description as well. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great week ahead, and we'll see you back next time.